What's up, Thrashers, and welcome to episode number 8 of the 5 Questions with Levi, the return. As I was almost starting to worry that we was not going to get an episode 8, but we finally do have the 5 questions we were having, or looking for this week's episode. So yes, this is episode number 8. Always a reminder to those watching, if you want to ask me a question for episode 9 next week, send a question in the comments section below, and I will answer it on next week's episode. But without further ado, let's do this! Question number 1 comes from BlazeLife334, who asks, which Hatebreed album did you like most? Concrete Confessional or Weight of the False Self? Well, I'm going to be straight up honest. I think this might be the shortest question this week, but Concrete Confessional by default, because I have actually not listened to Weight of the False Self yet. I haven't gotten around to that album yet, but I did listen to Concrete Confessional when it came out 5 years ago, and it was a really good album. Haven't listened to Weight of the False Self, though, so it's got to go Concrete Confessional solely by default, because I have not listened to Weight of the False Self yet. Question 2 from Daily988. It's been a while since I've seen your name on the series. He asks me, what's my favorite WWE theme song? Can we get a little taste of that, please? Yes, it's Demolition. I mean, I'm a metal freak, and that's like the most metal, one of the most metal theme songs, not just in WWE history, but in wrestling history. I mean, Rick Derringer, who was a big rock star back in the 70s, came in the mid-80s, did the Demolition theme, and it fit them to a T. And I wish I could actually play this song on guitar, bass, drums, and maybe do like a full band cover of it. That would be really badass. But yeah, Demolition, Axe and Smash. Here comes the axe, and here comes the smasher of Demolition, walking disaster, baby. Question number 3 comes from Space Metal Ferrari 248. He asks, what do you think of the wings on the Gen 5 cars from 2008 through early 2010? And would you prefer those stock cars or the fucked up Gen 6 post-2017? Well, what did I think of the wing on the Gen 5 cars? I mean, aesthetically, when I was a teenager, early teen, I thought it was going to look cool. It did look cool for a bit, but then as I got older and I understood why it was bad, but I'm going to say it right now, I would prefer to have the winged COT cars over what we have now, because what we have now is way worse than the winged era of the COT, because at least you can pass, at least you can race with the winged COT cars, or the Gen 5 cars with the wing, whereas with the package they got right now, with it only being 550 horsepower engines, and all the fucking aero shit that they've done to them, way worse than what we had 12, 11 or so years ago. So honestly, I would prefer to have the wing Gen 5 cars back rather than what we have now. Or if we had to still be in Gen 6, go back to the 2014 package and things would have been a lot better off, but the old NASCAR way, if it ain't broke, bash the shit out of it with a sledgehammer. Question number 4 comes from my man, Mr. Death Metal, who asks, favorite Testament album? Well, I got a couple of favorites, but my number 1 is the debut album, The Legacy. I mean, a perfect Bay Area thrash album. I mean, from Over the Wall through to Apocalyptic City, there's not a dull moment on this album. Top to bottom, it's just perfect Bay Area thrash. But my close number 2 favorite is one album that a lot of people like to shit on from Testament for some reason. And I'm talking about you, Downfall Network, or Thrall for Metal. And that's The Ritual. Yeah, it was a little more melodic, supposedly more commercial, but I honestly feel like this was their darkest album. Like, it's so dark sounding, and it's still very heavy. Just because it's not thrash doesn't mean it's bad. And I'm gonna, if I ever do a video bashing the fans who hate Load and Reload because it's not a, quote, thrash album, and just because that they sucked. But it's the same applies for the Ritual. Just because it's not thrash doesn't mean it's not good. I thought this was a fantastic album. It was something different for Testament to go down a more melodic direction, a lot more darkness in the music. I mean, when you got a song like the title track, The Ritual, like, how can you not be mesmerized by something so eerie and dark sounding than that? But yeah, this is my close number 2, but my number 1 favorite is the Thrashter piece, The Legacy. But yeah, these two are kind of neck and neck for me when it comes to favorite Testament albums. Finally, question 5 from Dimebag Daryl. He asks, which of these two is more needed to make a metal band great? Good bass or good drums? That's a good question, because you're basically talking about which part of the rhythm section is more important. Honestly, I might be a little bit biased here, because I personally am a drummer, and while, yes, I have a bass guitar and I can play a few riffs, for me, I think drums are more important than the bass as far as making a metal band great, because you gotta have that rhythm in the background with the drums. Of course, the bass is capable of doing the rhythms too, but when it comes to bass, I prefer bass players who can play along to the guitars rather than following specifically what the drums are doing, because sometimes it just sounds like just root notes constantly the whole way through. And while that's not necessarily a bad thing, but like the reason why I would say guys like Cliff Burton, Alex Webster, Steve DiGiorgio are such great bass players because they know how to play along to the guitars, playing mega fast, and they can play the bass to match along with the guitars, because it almost sounds like a second or even a third guitar going on in the background, and I think that's more cool and better than just playing along to the kick drums, which is just, like, say for example, Epic by Faith No More. While it sounds cool, it's just bum 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 bum, which was just following along to the kick drums, which it's not a bad thing, but I prefer bassists who can play along to the guitars. And also, I just feel drums are a little more important because you, like, not only just because of the rhythms, but also you can hear a lot of chaos in the drums, whether playing fast or slow, what have you. And like I said, because I am an amateur drummer, I tend to be a little bit more biased towards drummers rather than anything else. That's just me, of course. I mean, if you have a personal preference, feel free to tell me. But anyways, that pretty much does it for episode number 8 of 5 Questions with Levi. As always, again, if you have a question to ask me for next week's episode, episode 9, send a question in the comments below, and I will answer it. But until next time, horns high, and I will see you very soon. I do not want candles!
Wow. That's just Levi Christmas getting
Stop it!
on. Like,
I don't want candles! 10 candles? I'm wrecking myself. Screw that.
Myself going to a Christmas department store and just hearing someone over in the other aisle, I do not want candles!
Wow, I have had a brain fart.
I do not want candles!
Just in that voice.
Okay.
Never forget, I do not want candles!
Dick's toy.
No! 10 printers? Are you kidding me? This is the worst! I hate you!
I did not need candles!
I can see that as like a Metallica song. I did not want candles.